Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. Margaret, at the sprightly age of 68, found immense joy and solace in the gentle rhythms of her life. Her days were filled with the simple pleasures of tending to her vibrant garden, a kaleidoscope of colors and scents that bloomed under her loving care, and the simple, comforting joy of baking cookies for her cherished grandchildren, the sweet aroma filling her cozy kitchen with warmth and affection. But above all, Margaret held a quiet pride in her hands. They were more than just tools. They were extensions of her heart, instruments of her love and creativity. Her hands had always been her pride. Gentle enough to nurture delicate seedlings, strong enough to knead dough with practiced ease, and full of care as she held her grandchildren close. Over the years, they had weathered countless storms, both literal and metaphorical, yet they had always remained a testament to her resilience and grace. She remembered her youthful hands, soft and supple, their skin glowing with a natural radiance. They had been the hands of a young woman eager to embrace the world and all its possibilities. They had held her husband's hand on their wedding day, had cradled her newborn children, had tirelessly worked to build a home and a life filled with love and laughter. Her hands told a story of dedication, perseverance, and unwavering love. They were a living chronicle of her life's journey, but over the past year, a subtle yet undeniable change had begun to creep in, casting a shadow over Margaret's cherished perception of her hands. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly, a gradual shift in texture and tone that she initially dismissed as a mere consequence of the passage of time. However, as the weeks turned into months, the changes became increasingly pronounced, demanding her attention and sparking a deep unease within her. The once supple skin began to lose its elasticity, becoming dry and brittle to the touch. The soft, delicate surface that she had always known was gradually replaced by a rough, sandpaper-like texture that felt alien and unwelcome. Cracks, like tiny fissures in parched earth, formed along her knuckles, deepening with each passing day, a stark reminder of the relentless march of time. The once vibrant, soft pink hue that had characterized her hands began to fade slowly but surely, transforming into a dull, lifeless gray. The color drained away, leaving behind a pallid, almost ghostly appearance that was a stark contrast to the warm, inviting glow she remembered so fondly. The transformation was unsettling, as if her hands were losing their vitality, their connection to the life force that coursed through her veins. Some days, the itching was almost unbearable, an incessant, maddening torment that plagued her waking hours and disrupted her sleep. It was a deep, persistent itch that seemed to emanate from beneath the surface of her skin, defying all attempts to soothe or alleviate it. She would scratch and rub her hands, raw, seeking desperately for a moment of respite, only to find that the relief was fleeting, replaced by an even more intense wave of itching that sent shivers down her spine. Other days, her skin would flake and sting with every touch of water, a painful reminder of the fragility and vulnerability of her aging body. Simple tasks like washing dishes or taking a shower became agonizing ordeals, each contact with water sending a searing pain through her hands as if they were being pricked by 1,000 tiny needles. The once refreshing act of cleansing became a source of dread and anxiety, a constant reminder of the deterioration of her beloved hands. Desperate for relief, Margaret embarked on a relentless quest to find a solution, scouring the shelves of every pharmacy she could find her hopes rising and falling with each new product she tried. She purchased lotions promising deep hydration, creams claiming youthful hands overnight, and ointments boasting miraculous restorative properties. Each product offered a glimmer of hope, a tantalizing promise of relief, but ultimately, they all fell short of her expectations. She meticulously followed the instructions, applying the lotions and creams with religious fervor, massaging them into her skin with gentle care, hoping to nourish and revitalize her weary hands. She spent countless hours pampering her hands, treating them with the utmost tenderness and attention, desperately clinging to the hope that she could reverse the relentless tide of aging. But nothing worked. The relief, if it came at all, was fleeting and superficial. 5 minutes after applying the lotions, the dryness would inevitably return, as if her skin had forgotten how to hold moisture, as if it had lost its ability to absorb and retain the vital nutrients it desperately needed. The lotions seemed to sit on the surface, providing a temporary veneer of hydration, but failing to penetrate the deeper layers of her skin where the real damage resided. Frustrated and disheartened, Margaret began to question the effectiveness of the products she was using. She wondered if they were simply masking the symptoms, providing a temporary illusion of relief, while failing to address the underlying cause of her skin's distress. She started to suspect that the lotions and creams she was relying on were actually doing more harm than good, exacerbating the problem rather than solving it. Maybe it's just old age, she whispered to herself, her voice barely audible above the gentle rustling of the leaves in her garden. It was a thought that had been nagging at her for weeks, a grim acceptance of the inevitable decline that comes with the passage of time. She tried to convince herself that her hands were simply reflecting her age, that the dryness and cracking were unavoidable consequences of growing older. But deep inside, a nagging doubt persisted, a lingering question that refused to be silenced. Why did my hands seem 20 years older than the rest of me? She wondered, her brow furrowed in confusion. It was a question that haunted her, a persistent enigma that she couldn't seem to unravel. Her face, her arms, her legs, they all showed the signs of aging, but her hands seemed to have aged prematurely, as if they had been subjected to some accelerated form of decay. The discrepancy was unsettling, creating a sense of unease and self-consciousness that she had never experienced before. She found herself hiding her hands, tucking them into her pockets, or concealing them beneath long sleeves, ashamed of their appearance and fearful of the judgment of others. The hands that had once been a source of pride and joy had now become a source of embarrassment and anxiety. Desperate for answers, Margaret finally decided to seek professional help. She made an appointment with a specialist, a dermatologist renowned for their expertise in treating complex skin conditions. She hoped that the doctor could shed some light on her mysterious ailment and offer a solution that would restore her hands to their former glory. The day of her appointment arrived, and Margaret found herself sitting in the sterile confines of the doctor's office, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. She nervously fidgeted with her hands, self-consciously trying to conceal their imperfections as she waited for the doctor to arrive. When the doctor finally entered the room, they greeted Margaret with a warm smile and a reassuring demeanor. Dr. Emily Carter, a woman with kind eyes and a gentle voice, immediately put Margaret at ease, creating a sense of trust and confidence that allowed her to open up about her concerns. Margaret recounted her story, describing the gradual deterioration of her hands, the relentless dryness, the persistent itching, and the ineffectiveness of the various lotions and creams she had tried. She poured out her frustrations and anxieties, her voice trembling with emotion, as she described the impact this condition had had on her life. Dr. Carter listened patiently, nodding sympathetically as Margaret spoke, carefully examining her hands and taking notes on her observations. When Margaret had finished, Dr. Carter leaned back in her chair, her expression thoughtful and contemplative. "Margaret," she began, her voice soft and reassuring, "your problem isn't just on the surface. The lotions you're using, many of them contain petroleum-based ingredients. They might feel moisturizing at first, but they actually pull vital nutrients out of your skin, like vitamins A, D, E, and K. Over time, your skin loses its natural barrier." Margaret listened intently, absorbing every word the doctor spoke, her eyes wide with astonishment and disbelief. She had always believed that lotions were beneficial for her skin, providing essential hydration and protection. She had never considered the possibility that they could actually be harmful, stripping her skin of its natural nutrients and disrupting its delicate balance. "And that's not all," the doctor continued, her tone growing more serious. "The chlorine and fluoride in your tap water strip away your skin's protective oils every time you wash your hands." Margaret's eyes widened even further, her mind racing as she processed this new information. She had always taken for granted the safety and purity of her tap water, never realizing that it could be contributing to the deterioration of her skin. The realization was unsettling, forcing her to reconsider her long-held assumptions about hygiene and skincare. And with today's hygiene habits, you're washing dozens of times a day. That constant washing disrupts the microscopic world living on your skin microbiome. The doctor paused, allowing Margaret to absorb the significance of her words. Margaret's mind struggled to grasp the concept of a skin microbiome, an invisible world teeming with life existing on the surface of her skin. She had always thought of her skin as a sterile barrier, protecting her from the outside world. But now she was learning that it was actually a complex ecosystem, teeming with beneficial bacteria and fungi. Beneath our skin lies an invisible army of friendly bacteria and fungi, tiny organisms that protect us, nourish our skin, and help retain moisture. When they're wiped out, the skin loses its natural defense, becoming dry, irritated, and prematurely aged. Dr. Carter explained that these microorganisms played a vital role in maintaining the health and vitality of the skin, protecting it from harmful pathogens, regulating its pH balance, and producing essential nutrients that kept it hydrated and supple. When these microorganisms were disrupted or destroyed, the skin's natural defenses were compromised, leaving it vulnerable to dryness, irritation, and premature aging. Margaret sat quietly, absorbing every word, her mind reeling from the sheer volume of new information. She had never realized the complexity of her skin, the intricate interplay of factors that contributed to its health and well-being. She had always thought of skincare as a simple matter of applying lotions and creams. But now she was learning that it was a much more nuanced and holistic process, requiring a deep understanding of the skin's natural ecosystem. "So, it's not just my age. My skin is missing nutrients and bacteria," Margaret asked, her voice filled with a mixture of hope and disbelief. She had spent so long blaming her age for the deterioration of her hands, accepting it as an inevitable consequence of growing older. But now she was learning that there were other factors at play, factors that she could potentially control and reverse. The doctor smiled a warm, reassuring smile that radiated hope and optimism. Exactly. But the good news is, your skin can heal, and you don't need expensive creams to do it. The doctor shared a simple, natural remedy, a homemade blend of ingredients that would nourish her skin, restore its natural barrier, and replenish its depleted microbiome. It was a recipe that had been passed down through generations, a testament to the power of nature's healing properties. The blend included 1 egg yolk, rich in vitamins A, D, E, K, omega-3s, and lecithin, 1 teaspoon of raw honey, a natural antibacterial and prebiotic, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, packed with antioxidants and healthy fats. Dr. Carter explained the benefits of each ingredient, highlighting their unique properties and their role in restoring the health of Margaret's skin. The egg yolk, she explained, was a powerhouse of nutrients, providing essential vitamins and fatty acids that would nourish her skin cells and promote their regeneration. The raw honey was a natural antibacterial and prebiotic, helping to kill harmful bacteria and promote the growth of beneficial microorganisms. The extra virgin olive oil was rich in antioxidants and healthy fats, protecting her skin from free radical damage and locking in moisture. Margaret gently mixed the ingredients into a smooth golden cream, her hands moving with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. As she blended the ingredients together, she felt a surge of hope and excitement, a sense that she was finally taking control of her health and well-being. Twice a week, she applied the blend to her hands before bed, letting it soak for 20 minutes, allowing the natural nutrients to seep into her skin, feeding both her cells and the friendly microbes that guarded them. She wrapped her hands in soft cotton gloves, creating a warm, moist environment that would enhance the absorption of the nutrients. At first, the change was subtle, almost imperceptible. The itching eased, the tightness softened, but the overall appearance of her hands remained largely unchanged. Margaret resisted the urge to become discouraged, reminding herself that healing took time and patience. Then, week by week, the cracks faded, the redness diminished, the wrinkles smoothed. The texture of her skin began to improve, becoming softer and more supple. The color gradually returned, replacing the dull grayness with a healthy, vibrant glow. After just 2 months, Margaret's hands looked years younger, smooth, supple, alive. The nagging itch was gone, replaced by a comfortable, soothing sensation. The pain and discomfort that had plagued her for so long had finally subsided, leaving her feeling rejuvenated and revitalized. And most importantly, she could finally hold her grandchildren's hands without feeling self-conscious. The embarrassment and anxiety that had haunted her for months had vanished, replaced by a sense of pride and joy. She could once again embrace her grandchildren with confidence and affection, without worrying about the appearance of her hands. "I thought aging was stealing my hands," she said softly, her voice filled with gratitude and wonder. "But all along, my skin was simply starving for the nourishment it needed." Margaret realized that her skin wasn't simply deteriorating with age. It was suffering from a deficiency of essential nutrients and a disruption of its natural microbiome. By replenishing these vital elements, she had been able to restore her skin to its former glory. Sometimes healing isn't found in the pharmacy aisle. Sometimes it's found in the simplest gifts nature offers: eggs, honey, olive oil, and a little patience. Margaret learned that the secret to youthful skin wasn't about adding more chemicals or undergoing expensive procedures. It was about restoring what her skin had quietly lost, about nourishing it from within and supporting its natural defenses. She continued to use the healing blend, making it a regular part of her skincare routine. She also made other lifestyle changes, such as drinking more water, eating a healthy diet, and avoiding harsh chemicals and detergents. As a result, her hands remained healthy and vibrant, a testament to the power of natural remedies and the resilience of the human body. She continued to bake cookies for her grandchildren, tend to her garden, and live her life with joy and gratitude, her hands serving as a constant reminder of the healing power of nature and the importance of self-care. Health 2660. Thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.